Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I wanted to share a gospel from the Holy Bible, and gospel means that it was Jesus who was speaking, and by grace and divine intervention of the Holy Spirit, the apostles, who were his main 12 followers, wrote it down to record an infinitum in the Holy Bible, and this is from the New Testament. The reason I'm bringing it up, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian or you follow Christ or anything else, but I think you'll see the important message in this, that we are called to be with people who are not necessarily as enlightened as we are, who are not necessarily living in the light or on the same path of truth, but that in doing so we dare to witness to them in their setting, where they're less apprehensive and more inclined to get the message. Now, this isn't for newbies. If you're too shaky in your own walk, or you're not informed enough, then maybe you shouldn't go there yet. But it's really important that as vegans, we hang out with people who are not vegan, so that they can dare to see why it is the better way to live. And we can convert the world. And that's certainly true with Christians as well. So if you're not very familiar, the Bible is separated into the Old Testament, all of which set up the prophecies and information for the New Testament. The New Testament was Christ forward. And so he had a bunch of followers. There were 12 apostles, but 72 disciples, and then, of course, the entire world over time. But this was from Matthew, which is one of the four Gospels: Mark, Luke, Matt, and John. This is Matthew. And this is from chapter 9, verses 9 through 13. So if you found a New Testament, you would find the book of Matthew, you'd find chapter 9, and then you would read the sentences, which are referred to as verses 9 through 13. But I'm going to share that with you, and of course, I will put it as part of the description for this video. So it reads, verse 9. As Jesus was walking on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax office. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. So tax collectors were really bad news and very much frowned upon, and people were fearful of them because they were ruthless. I mean, they took taxes for everything they could justify, and even the things they couldn't justify. And if people couldn't afford it, they went to jail. And even in jail, of course, the ability to earn money to pay those off was like never. So it was a really bad thing. Verse 10. Now, while he was at table in the house, it happened that a number of tax collectors and sinners came to sit at the table with Jesus and his disciples. Verse 11. When the Pharisees, and this was a really righteous group of religious leaders, when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, so not to Jesus directly, "Why does your master eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But, of course, Jesus, being Jesus, heard them. So it says, when he heard this, he replied, "It is not the healthy who need the doctor, but the sick." Is that familiar? Verse 13. Go and learn the meaning of the words, "Mercy is what pleases me, not sacrifice, and indeed I came to call not the upright, but the sinners." And that's a big one. So, Jesus was just reminding them, of course I'm going to be with the tax collectors and sinners. Not only are those the people most in need of redemption, but probably those most likely to receive it, since the super righteous Pharisees were sure that they were handled. And, the Pharisees were, as were many people of the day, thought that in giving, alms, money, sacrifices, whatever, that would be their salvation. But that was not the case, as Jesus was trying to say. So he says, go and learn the meaning of the words, "Mercy is what pleases me." So to have compassion and mercy on people who aren't quite where you wish they would be yet on their walk. Not sacrifice. So he's like, stop slaughtering lambs and start being compassionate, merciful person. That will get you much further. And then he says, and indeed I came to call not on the upright, but the sinners. And it's so true. So often as Christians, people want to wait till they're perfect before they call on God. They want to wait till their life gets together before they go to church. They're like trying to fix all these things so that they'll be enough. And the joke's on us. We were always enough. God made us. He made us as we were enough. And he rejoices in every step forward that we go. So it's the same thing being vegan. We can't condemn people for something that inevitably everyone, I'm quite sure, on the planet at this time, nearly everyone on the planet at this time, was not vegan to begin with. A couple of children, their parents did raise them vegan, but I'm sure they slipped at friends' houses. I'm sure they slipped at grandma's. I don't think, much like Christ, being the only perfect person, everybody else falls short. And so, honestly, how can we be merciful? Because that is what's going to get us the furthest. That is going to bring the most people along. When we accept them where they are, continue to shine our light, to continue to be consistent in who we are, and rejoice in the smallest steps that a person takes. One more piece of fruit, one more piece of meat. One less piece of meat, right? Meat-free Mondays. Whatever the smallest things they're doing, let's rejoice in that and continue to witness in our vegan walk and our Christian faith. Okay, so let's go back through it. Here it is clean, but I'll include it in the description of the video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Can you see the parallel between being called to be compassionate, merciful Christians and compassionate, merciful vegans? And why it's important to be with those who aren't quite there yet. So it says Gospel, Matthew 9 through 13. As Jesus was walking on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax office. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. Now while he was at table in the house, it happened that a number of tax collectors and sinners came to sit at the table with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your master eat with tax collectors and sinners?" When he heard this, he replied, Is it not the healthy who need the doctor? It is not the healthy who need the doctor, but the sick. Go and learn the meaning of the words, mercy is what pleases me, not sacrifice. And indeed, I came to call not the upright, but the sinners. From Jesus himself. All right, my friends, like if you like, subscribe if you haven't. Know that I prayed for you at Mass. And until we talk again, trust that you're blessed.